Recording is on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the March 25th, Thursday DXdao community call. This week is a resources call, focus call, and I posted the agenda in the chat in the HackMD. It's a little bit of overlap from what we talked about 2 weeks ago, so it's like following up on some of those topics, and then I added a few new topics. So we'll start with like resources focus, and then touch on recruiting and pay again, and then a plan for what we're going to do in 2 weeks, and then also a quick note about Panvala, which we are squeezing in, and then anything else that people are interested in talking about. So to kick things off, a couple weeks ago, one of the issues that DXdao has in general is making sure that the squads and teams are clearly communicating the needs of each squad, and then translating that into actual roles that DXdao is looking to hire for. And this is a unique situation because DXdao is not the traditional go out and hire for a position and it leads to a long-term contract or anything. It's really attracting and absorbing people and talent that are interested in what DXdao is doing. And so you'll see in the agenda, we made this Google Doc, which has a list of positions that have been added by different squads. I think we have descriptions for a lot of them. I'm not sure all of them. And then we've also taken the step to create an individual PDF, IPFS, so that for each position, so that you could if you're specifically know someone interested in that position, you can send out that actual specific link. So eventually we'll have an overall doc with all the positions, and then we'll have individual docs that can be sent out and publicized in certain places. And so a few of them, so there's a couple different emails. I know Chris has an email, and there's a general email on a few of the different positions, and people can email into those emails if ideally they come to Keybase and they talk to the DXdao community, introduce themselves. But if not, even people can send in a resume to certain those emails that will be seen. And then we're still working on the process of, when we have incoming interest, what kind of funnel do we pass that through? And we're talking currently with a couple people about an HR type role and the organization of that, and how to guide this incoming interest, and how to introduce them to DXdao, help them work through what the next steps would be, and who to talk to specific about what they're specifically interested in, maybe the squad leaders for the topic or the product that they're interested in. So yeah, we'll continue with that open position doc, which is hopefully leads, and these things can be tweeted out by community. These things can be, we still haven't really done any paid advertising of these positions, but we could potentially maybe weaken Ethereum, and we'll get to Evan and weaken Ethereum later in the meeting. But Evan, I think, is part of the DXdao community, and we could potentially pay to put the open positions up on their newsletter. And then also related to resources, it seems like the product teams in general have done a pretty good job the last month or so of organizing, and partly because of this call, better organizing resources and planning around products and teams. But I guess one thing we've discussed in the last few weeks is governance as one of the products of DXdao. And so Augusto, and it's basically just him that's been focused on some of the actual true governance products of DXdao. And we had some meetings this week about maybe more people getting involved in the actual like DX vote / guild / governance products. And we're also talking to Lego and some outside teams about contributing resources to that as well. And so I think that, like, as we've talked about, like in addition to Swapper, Mesa, and Omen, governance is, starts to become a fourth product of DXdao. So it should always be in the back of people's minds, and it requires attention. We don't necessarily have like an urgency. I think Chris mentioned this week, like it's not like super urgent that this is all built and solved today, but like in the long term, governance is like one of the most important products for DXdao. And if DXdao can figure out the ideal solution for a multi-chain governance world, I think that product could be used by many other growing DAO ecosystems in the space as well. And there should be more and more. And all these projects that are doing multi-sig with Snapshot, like when there is a better solution that they can actually implement, they will probably want to move to that as well. So that's just an interesting focus to keep in mind. I'll stop there. And does anyone have any additional thoughts on like those resource topics?
Yes, about that, I just wanted to add that I see the governance product, or we can call it also as application protocol, more of like a product. I see it as something that make all our projects work together, Swapper, Omen, Mesa. So I think my idea what I'm trying to build here is a place where we can collaborate and build something together, and that everyone understands, like people collaborating from all the projects to be something together where they can test and they can interact and they can use and they can maintain itself. So yeah, more like a product. I see like an application or protocol that glue everything together. The idea is to build strong collaboration guidelines where everyone can submit any bug, any feature request, and any developer on DXdao can work on it because there is the documentation and the entry barrier is very low.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's an important piece of DXdao. So next, also related to recruiting. So there's a couple, in addition to all these open positions, there's a couple key big positions. I think we've been talking about like a lead marketer, marketing role, which is quite difficult to fill in this space, especially in today's competitive environment. And then I also think a really important position is like someone that's fully focused on L2. So L2 and scaling, and how DXdao is going to move forward in that direction across its products and its governance. And so we don't have someone that like is 100% focused on that, but we actually had a friend of John's, attend a few different meetings this week and, get a feel for what we're talking about. And he has a big interest in L2. So potentially there's something there. Regarding the marketing role and open positions in general, one thing we also started exploring as a community in general is should DXdao engage like a professional recruiter to get an idea of to help recruit for very important key bigger positions, and like what that looks like. And DXdao, I don't know if any DAO has ever done this. Like, yeah, the companies in the Ethereum space hire recruiters, but has like a public DAO like DXdao hired a recruiter. And so exploring like how that would look, and what it would lead to, because most of all the contributors to DXdao are really contractors, so it's a little unique for like hiring for like a position where typically a recruiter hires someone and like that person knows they're going to be working for an entity for like at least a year or something. So it's a combination of the recruiter is going to be really good at like surveying the entire landscape of who could fill this position, who is interested in DAOs, who wants to work for a DAO, and then bringing those candidates together and like introducing them into the DXdao community. And then like DXdao and us, we have to figure out how to like take it to the next step with the right people that are introduced through that method. So we don't know if that's like a great like a perfect solution, but I think there's a few people that are exploring whether or not that could work, and it could be a cool experiment because like a head of marketing role is a difficult thing to fill in this space. And if anyone has contacts and really, I think if you have contacts with like any marketing people in the ecosystem, even if they have jobs, if you could reach out to them and ask them if they know other marketing people that would be interested in something like DXdao, that's a good path that we could take as a community. Yeah. So does anyone have any opinions on that, recruiting in general?
No opinion. We just had a really nice call, Chris and I, with Melanie and Allie and Keenan for some of the HR needs, and kind of got into the recruiting stuff. And it seemed very, like, just based on the call, very clear to us that marketing with all of our products is like definitely not a one-person role. It's definitely going to kind of turn into its own squad potentially with all of our products. And I think Keenan and Malkin have both been doing an excellent job, but we're definitely going to need some serious help, and even someone to really just focus on that. So makes complete sense to me.
Sweet. Yeah, so the HR/HR helpers, which we're kind of talking about, we have a couple people that could potentially help fill those, or people movers, I guess is the right name. That will. Yeah, go ahead.
So we did just like chat with them just before this call, and one of the things we were laughing about was wanting to come up with new names for everything. Right? Like it's kind of like a DXdao thing. We're like, oh yeah, it's not departments, they're squads. And so I don't know what we want for like HR, but like this idea of like making it easier to work, right? Whether that's, do your proposal process, like get paid through, a legal entity, kind of understand how people are like having frustrations with different people or things at work. We just need to figure out how to build something on that. So I'm feeling positive that we're kind of moving in that direction on like starting to get our house in order a little bit. And so the things that the two big things that were kind of the takeaways from that meeting were one, the two of them would probably reach out and maybe have like a 10 to 15 minute conversation with everyone just to see where they're at in terms of needs or kind of questions or concerns, whether it's about the proposal process or like anything, just kind of looking for a way to engage and get to know people. And then two is we're going to create I guess it is centralized, there's really no way about it, but there will be a Google sheet that is going to be tracking worker payments both retrospectively and like kind of going forward. So the retrospectively is the one we'll start with first. And so this will be like, of the last 6 months, we know people, a lot of people have produced a lot of great work, but like what was their beginning date? When was their end date? Did they get paid DXD? Like kind of the rep compensation. So we're hoping to have like an initial worker list draft hopefully in 2 weeks. And then that will be what like people can check. So we can like make sure that everyone, if you didn't submit a worker proposal, it's fine. Like we just want to get everyone paid and get everyone up to speed. But just like this is kind of like the current state of things. So I'm hoping with both Melanie and Allie, we'll do a great job of kind of getting us to a better, this is the state of things. And so people will be able to like kind of check to make sure that things are standing. And then also that they'll be helpful in like helping people through the proposals, like making templates, kind of giving people a heads up when their proposal is about to expire. And then also talking about like long-term things, like should we get everyone on the same schedule, right? Rather than having some people start in the middle of the month or not, or maybe that's like too much of a kind of problem to solve in the short term. And then hopefully it also kind of like we can eventually automate this. And so some of the things like what Dave is doing with Treasury, if we can get like certain addresses that are workers, and if they're making the same proposals, on DXdao, we can track that ourselves and do that. And yeah, and I hope the last thing I'll say is I hope that like Google Sheet will also be a place where we can like make sure people can check their rep and DXD awards like back and going forward, and we'll use that for the reference when we do those multiple rewards or the DXD compensation in general. So yeah, hopefully making some progress on the HR front.
Yeah, that all sounds good. I think it's more important for newcomers and people like very recent newcomers. If you're a seasoned DXdao worker and you need help or you haven't done your proposal, it's kind of your fault. So
oh, but we care. We want to help people along. Like it's stressful. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm always stressed out for my proposals. I just want someone to like remind me.
You've also mentioned like on DXdao, proposals are less stressful, right? Because even if it doesn't cost anything, and you can always just do a new one. It's not a big deal, but everyone should be voting as actively as possible on DXdao.
Yeah.
It's fun and a great experience.
I'd like to add something. If we burden Melanie with the work of finding new people, we need to make her life easier and let her know exactly what we're looking for, because we don't want to, wasting time with the wrong people. So every team has got to have a list of skills that they need for new people, so that we're clear on what we're after.
Yeah, we have a document, like a working document right now. I think maybe Sky, you mentioned it at the beginning of the meeting. If I caught it, I think it could be in the chat even. And then Melanie and I think potentially Ali will be meeting with the squad leaders first, just to get a feel of like their specific needs, and then in coordination with the recruiter, Chris's recruiter as well, or not, our new recruiter, can kind of balance getting those specific needs met. Obviously, developers are going to be the more difficult thing of all of this. They're all working right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, great.
But I do think we need to be better at like engaging people when they like casually show interest. And so I think like having a little bit more structure on it hopefully will allow us to like, catch people in our web or something. Like when they kind of float by, we're grabbing them a little bit more. Just to touch briefly on the recruiting marketing front that Sky had mentioned. So I think this is kind of a uncharted territory, but we are a product organization company that is like looking to expand and like find new people, and a lot of companies of our similar size will engage professional recruiting companies to help them like find talent and to scour through lots of different profiles from the industry and really pin down on the specific kind of skills that we're looking for, and then also kind of provide an initial filter process to make sure that they would be a fit for DXdao. But then ultimately it's up to us in deciding whether or not we would hire them. So I did talk to a friend of mine who's done some, owns a recruiting company, he's done some recruiting both within crypto and outside, about specifically trying to go after a senior level marketing person. And so, as Sky said, there are not a lot of great marketing people in crypto. And if they are, they probably, have a good gig. I think Sky said like Compound is looking for head of marketing. There's like a couple others that are, in this. So it's a competitive space, but I think this is where like numbers help a lot. And so it's kind of like how many different profiles can we look at? And then I think it's also about still trying to find like someone that gets it. And that's ultimately up to us. And I don't know if we can find that person, but I think it's like worth trying to explore this. So in terms of like resources, we could talk about looking at different professional recruiters, but they typically charge anywhere from like 2 months to 4 months salary of the person that they're recruiting for. And then like a quarter of that, 25% of that would be upfront, and then the rest would be paid on successful placement. And so I guess for that would, probably be at the end of our kind of 2-month trial period that we'd be like, this person fits. So yeah, I think that's something we should explore. I'm talking to my friend a little bit more, but I think we, for other positions, things like it could be worth it in the to get someone to really devote time and energy to this, so we can get candidates that are a fit for us.
Yeah, sweet. And I actually think, and this will eventually lead to, be a part of maybe the lead marketing's role. But in the meantime, I think that a DAO, a decentralized DAO like DXdao, can leverage some of the newer or like more Web3 type marketing things. And so a couple ideas here are like, John, I think, sent around an article about like every project should have a meme guy. Like memes are super powerful. Something like Omen, I think memes would fit really well. We've seen it because just creating an Omen market about something like an important topic in the Ethereum space or the crypto space, and getting that out to like the community that's interested in that actual topic, that actual prediction market becomes a meme, right? And like all of a sudden, anyone interested in that event in that community, like all of a sudden has a connection to that Omen market and then learns about Omen. So I think more of that's super powerful. You can make it as crazy meme as our meme competition, which is great. There's like a couple organizations like based in the Ethereum space that are like doing this like meme growth marketing Web3 hacking, which DXdao can hire. So we're talking to them as well. These are all things that like fit in between social and marketing and our projects. So I think, and then also the last one is we've been reached out to by a Vietnamese agency / investor who seems like it has a big connection at least in Vietnam, maybe outside of that in Asia as well. But DXdao could start working with some of these other regional marketing agencies. And I know one of the open positions we have is like a Asian focused marketing person, and that ideally we have that person who like has these connections. But expanding DXdao and our products, especially Omen, with like Omen token and Guild coming, like we could be in way more regions than we are right now. And so we're going to see what it's like to maybe engage an agency like that, which actually comes with could potentially come with some investment as well. That's a separate topic, but like if they're making how-tos and things that like customizing marketing materials to their specific region, it just is going to spread awareness of DXdao and its products.
Yeah, and just to kind of repeating it, but like I think each of our products could use their like own marketer, and like Omen probably like 3 or 4. So there's like a lot of need there, and maybe not like right now, but in like the next 2 months, our products are going to be need a lot more attention. So I think there's a lot of possibility here. So.
Yeah, cool. So next was an interesting topic, and I don't think this was talked about last week. Someone can stop me if it was. I missed the main call last week, but Evan Van Ness from we've talked about in general DXdao and pay and incentives, and if they're competitive to attract talent from the ecosystem. And actually Evan had posted a forum post about like in this type of market increasing pay by some amount to retain and attract talent to DXdao and its products. And there were a few comments about it. It's increasing base pay is one thing. I still think like you can make things more attractive. If things need to be more attractive, you can do it by paying locked up DXD. and so locked up DXD is an additional way to increase incentives. But yeah, so Evan thinks, according to his post, that DXdao workers were like the competitive pay was less competitive than other projects in the actual ecosystem. So it's something to keep in mind. It's something that, he specifically said, like in a hot market, maybe pay needs to be increased, but if we go into a bear market, pay could be reduced again as well. So it's something that will flow could flow with the market. But yeah, attracting talent is important.
Yeah, I was particularly harsh on Evan, but I'm not against the idea at all. Everyone deserves it. The thing is, it's a base pay and it's quite generous, and you can't expect to get that from the get-go. You need to pull your weight and earn your flags. So we should think of some incentive schemes, like if we hit a target with a certain product and then the whole team gets some bonus or something, but we need to be motivated and incentivized to move along and not just sit on our asses and expect to get paid more.
Yeah, I agree, and that idea of incentive pay based around milestones is something we've been talking about for a while. We have a potential opportunity to implement it with Omen token, where it goes to DXdao workers and to the Omen team, and like maybe more gets released if milestones are hit, but if milestones are not hit, then less is released to those. So it could even be like conditional. We could use like conditional token incentives in that scenario. So it's something that is being looked at. Is easier to do with a new product token like Omen token or eventually Swapper token or something. And that's very team specific, and you can really align it to the milestones of that product. So it will be, let's all keep that in mind, and let's like come up with ideas on how to do that going forward.
I think the DAO at the moment is very non-dev heavy, and I think it could be a cool idea to introduce a basically rockstar dev level, like a level 6, but it's specifically for devs only.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Do we have an idea of what that takes in this environment? Like the most public one is YFI. Okay, the YFI contributors, printed $200 million, and they're incentivized now with $200 million. So we could print more DXD, but I don't think we're going to get to $200 million. So how do we incentivize like the top devs in Ethereum to come work for DXdao? Like what is that price?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's important that for like a senior dev that is coming in, he wants to feel like I don't know, he wants to feel special, and I think he should be making more than like the marketing guy or whatever.
Agreed.
Yeah, like my opinion is that like incentivizing people like more like owners than and employees is much better, because just increasing salary, I don't know if that will benefit DAO more, like, and giving ownership, giving like shares of Omen token, for example, will, I think, like give enough incentive to act in the right way, and it's good enough incentive in my opinion.
Yeah, also what it attracts a good developer is a good technical challenge. And I think we are not selling our technical challenges the right way, maybe, or maybe we should put more effort there to express that if you are a very good developer and you want to work for us, there is a lot of things that you can learn, a lot of responsibility that you're going to take in the process, and you're going to be doing very cool stuff. This is what attracts a good developer.
I'm doing this right.
A good pay, but also they want to work on something that is going to be technically challenging for them.
Yeah. Technical. So how do you outline that, Augusto? How do you specifically outline those technical challenges and then communicate that to like devs that would be really interested in that? Like what's the process of doing that? And are other projects doing that?
We need to build cool shit and like build cool products, and people come want to like build with us and like take on the world, right? And inspire people.
Yeah. So an example would be like, so Agave is going to do Aave on XDAO, right? Like DXdao. Okay, this is another project, but like that would be really interesting if we said DXdao has $500,000, like 3 awesome developers who want to do a compound fork on XDAI, come and build that at DXdao, like and hire the team you need, and let's try to get it done in 2 months and beat Agave. Like that's a cool challenge in my mind. Like, is DXdao ready for another product like that? Like, I think we could do it but that's a way to bring people into DXdao, right?
I mean, that would be cool. But we are building cool stuff, and we have already like interesting challenges with needs, right? Like, I mean, we're launching a prediction market token, and we have a lot of work to do around that. Like, yeah, I mean, Swapper, we already have the work. I think, if I understand Augusto right, it's just like, how do we present that to the world? Because I think it is already pretty cool stuff. I don't think we need to think of something cool.
I mean, I don't think anyone said we're not doing cool shit. I'm just saying, like, this is the way that like people are into things because they feel like inspired. So we need to like, do that inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with like it's a little awkward to be like, oh yeah, devs should be paid more. I mean, I don't like in a collective, like I think obviously everybody's role is important, but the reality of the market is something that I think we just need to be aware of, right? And like the market, what people can get for salaries is like what drives salaries and pay. And I think we're aware that like the developers are getting paid pretty well in this market, in this space. And it's been hard to find find good developers. So I think we should be willing to use money, like if necessary, to do that.
Yes, yeah, but we need both. I mean, we are going to get a good developer. Thanks for the money, but it will be awesome if we can get someone that is attracted by the challenges that we want to do, and maybe find a way to do something better. Like, okay, we want to create the Omen gear with the Omen token distribution, and maybe a new developer appears and says, hey guys, what if we improve the Omen guild integrating this feature, or I can do this, or they propose something that is going to also technically help and be attractive.
Yeah, maybe we should try to outline one, like a real example of that you can share public, like that you can spread around.
For example, what happened with liquidity farming? That was an idea from Fede, right? That was an idea from Federico that he proposed on Swapper. A very good idea. He implemented it and he added on Swapper as a feature, and we are going to use it. So that's a very good example of what a good developer can do here. That they have room to play. If you came up with a good idea and something that is going to help us and is going to be technically cool, for sure we are going to implement it. And I think that's a very powerful thing to communicate when we are going to hire new developers.
Yeah. Cool. So, okay. So next thing is, I think in 2 weeks. So this resource call in 2 weeks from now, there was a tentative plan to do a revisit of budgets, treasury, and product roadmap updates. I think in the last 4 weeks since we did that, there's been a lot of progress across Omen and Swapper and different products, and we have this like marketing plan timeline, and we've timed everything up, and we're going to try our best to stick to it. But like, I think there's going to be a ton of momentum in the next 6 to 7 weeks around new features and alphas and products coming out, and making sure that we like readjust the roadmap around the updates, and then keep an eye on budget and how like new hires and things adjust budget, just to like make sure we're all on the same page. I think it's helpful for when it's very public and everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, I feel like we should be having some quarterly like check-ins and reports that are more about like public facing things. And so I think like I think the one that I'm thinking of is like the treasury and the budget. And so this is something that Dave, who is just started working a couple weeks ago, like kind of his big deliverable is thinking about providing a report on the treasury. So this is like, where are DXdAO's assets? Some are on DXdao, some are in the buyback reserve, some are in the treasury. What are those broken down into? Some are in Swapper tokens. And so I think that would be helpful to kind of like do that once every 3 months. And since Q1 would end in, I guess, 6 days, I think it would be good to do that on this call. And that would be in 2 weeks. So we're checking that. And then I wonder if there are like other things that we want to do on a quarterly basis that are like maybe opportunities to communicate a message to the community. And I thought like when we did that call in January, that I still send out to people about each of the product roadmaps that I thought was like really, really helpful. So I was just wondering, maybe we should do another one of those like in the month after, or I guess that'd be like a month from now. Or other things that we could think about, like we should be doing these every quarter.
Yep. Yeah, I had a chat with Alex from Nansen. They do data analysis on chain, and I asked them whether they could help do a business analytics dashboard for a DAO like us. He was interested, but the angle I'm looking at it is he's also looking at raising a series A round for his startup, and I wanted to do it on Meta. So if I get him to agree, and he's got to talk to his VC about it as well, to raise the Series A round on Mesa, then we can get on to do a dashboard that we could also white label and sell to other DAOs later on, because it would be an amazing tool. Everything will be automated, like programmatically and on chain. The whole business analytics and the processes that we could see live. It will be. It will bring a lot of efficiency to our work process.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like Nansen. So if there's an opportunity for them to build something that DXdao could get value out of, which then all DAOs can get value out of, and they're doing a raise, we should talk to them about a potential DX Ventures investment as well.
Yeah, they're good company.
And that ties in. Yeah. That ties in with a little bit like DeepDAO. I mean, obviously, Nansen's not like DAO focused at this point, I don't think, but DeepDAO is data analytics for DAOs. So these are all things that are needed, and just like doing analytics type stuff as well. Yeah. Cool. And then I guess one last thing, and part of I'd like to just talk briefly about Panvala, even though it's not necessarily resources. Well, it's dependent on resources, so it's dependent on everyone here.
I saw someone registered Panvala on Giveth.
What's that?
I saw Panvala on Giveth. You know, this new charity platform like for donations. Giveth.
Gitcoin, yeah.
Well, there's Giveth. There's Giveth too, Griff Green. But so in general, like the DXdao has been involved with Panvala League for over a year now, and one idea was, especially after we raised money, is the idea was to, as part of Gitcoin grants, instead of getting money for DXdao, the idea is to get money and funnel that money and those donations to key infrastructure and projects in the DeFi ecosystem that are highly needed, that are underfunded, basically. And so there are some of those projects have their own Gitcoin grants, and then there are other projects like Radical, before Radical became a company, like got some money from us, and there's some design companies and some projects and some infrastructure projects. So we have a pot of Gitcoin grant / Panvala donations from last quarter, which still hasn't been awarded, and then there's a new Gitcoin grant round going on right now. So everyone to be involved, you should, if you have Panvala's token, you should stake it to our grant. You should donate during Gitcoin grants. Now, this, like, donating through Gitcoin is important. Doing it with Pan is important. There's probably going to be a Gitcoin token at some point. So if you don't donate, you're an idiot, because you're not going to get Gitcoin token. And then the most important thing, which I'm asking for right now, is for people to actually come up with some projects. And these could be individual people that are building stuff for the DeFi space. These could be projects, ideally smaller teams that need funding. But we need like at least 3 important people projects that are building cool stuff in the DeFi ecosystem that DXdao and other DAOs need, and in DeFi space needs, right? And we can give them this money, these grants, we can get them going, and that could actually lead into potential like DX venture investments as well. So we have grant money that we can give out that has been donated to this cause, but we don't have projects because we need people to identify who deserves that money, basically. And so anything you guys can come up with this week or next week, please put it in the Panvala Keybase channel. If we have 1 project or 2 projects, 3 projects, they could get a lot of money. Reality.eth could be a great one. So yeah, please contribute, or just think really hard about what projects deserve some of this grant money. And that would be great. And then I think that's all for the agenda. If there's anything else that people would like to raise or talk about, please do so now. Otherwise, we can end it early.
I just want to follow up on what Evan's post was, like, what do people think about that in terms of like an across the board? Because there's like 2 ideas here, right? There's the incentivizing specific milestones, which I think we need to do a little bit more work on, like actually identifying said milestones, right? And I can help with that, help coordinating that in the next dev call. I think that's probably a good topic for the next dev call. We kind of wrapped up the architecture stuff. But then I think there's a separate issue of like what Evan is proposing, which is, hey, it's a bull market, guys. Like, the market's hot. You have people, like, pay them well to retain them. So I'm just like curious, like, not a lot of, a couple of people responded, but not a lot of people, and not too many of the workers, right? So I'm just kind of curious, like, how people feel about that.
Yeah, so my 2 feelings on that are, there's 2 things. So increased pay in locked up DXD, I think makes total sense. And Keenan mentioned maybe adjusting the price at which you're getting your DXD rather than like the all-time high, maybe market price could be one way to just change that right away. So you get more locked up DXD. But that, in my mind, aligns incentives. And then Nathan in the chat also mentioned something like you don't, maybe not someone who comes in for the first month is going to get this giant salary, but as you spend more time and more contributions to DXdao, your salary or your DXD incentive could increase on a percentage basis the more you contribute to DXdao over time. So those are both interesting ideas, rather than just like raise the salary by 30% across the board, which is less interesting to me.
Well, maybe, I have a suggestion. I can easily add it to my survey, so people could anonymously share their opinion on it. Yeah. Would you like me to add it as a question?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, because I can understand like being hesitant to be like, hey, I'd like to get paid more in public.
Because so far I'm not against it at all. You know, and so far it's just been 3 people that have filled in the questionnaire. I expect at least another 10. So if we get a majority of people ask about a raise, we'll do it. I mean, we're a democracy, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So I asked, we were actually talking about this on the previous call with HR, and Melanie, who's worked in HR before, she said, I found that when you ask people if they want more money, they most of the time say yes. So I think like people will want more money, and being like a DAO, we're gonna have to figure out, like, of course I want more money, like that would be great. Like I'd like to get paid more, and like so it's weird because we're in this like juxtaposition of like having to be like, oh, we should be like put on our rep holder's hat and be responsible about, and I think Augusto's saying DXD holders. My take is I think we are due for another like compensation guideline adjustment. That was in like September of last year, but I think we need to accomplish some things first. And I think we're like doing those, and those are kind of like right around the corner. And I think doing those and accomplishing those will justify a increase, I think.
Well, I come from a former socialist country, and what we used to have for years here is everyone on the job place, like they would get a salary increase every year, and someone's been at their vocation for 40 years, and their salary is like a lot bigger than others that are newcomers. So I believe that is fair, and we can do this right away. We can easily vote on that. Like we can easily verify who's been in the DAO and for how long, and like agree to increase their salary by 1% for.
Well, I think that's what we're trying to talk about. I think we're trying to talk about right now. I think that's like the discussion now is to decide on whether we want to do that and how to do that. So I'd be curious to hear other contributors.
Yeah, justifying it to DXD holders is obviously an important piece of it, and that's why aligning the incentives of any increase that like, or showing, like Chris, you mentioned, showing over the next 7 weeks, I think there's going to be a lot of positive things that happen, and I agree that it's going to be easier to justify something like that after the next couple months.
Assuming the bull market lasts, right? This is the big. Well, I guess if the bull market doesn't last, then maybe we don't want to be like raising going into the bear market. But like, I mean, just remember like the comp guideline, and this is tough to change because then we like do these things public, and it's like hard to decide. And like that was in, I think, September of last year. So that's just like there's a lot of things different in September of last year.
There's a number of projects that are basing their compensation off of what DXdao has established as compensation, which is super powerful and quite interesting. And people are watching what DXdao is doing. So it will be viewed by, if there's a change, like it will be viewed by everyone.
Right. So definitely important to focus on the great things coming ahead and kind of thinking about how we can adjust the salary to be based off of those accomplishments in the near future, and hopefully for long term.
In any business, there's a well stratified structure. It's not flat as we have it. So people expect to get to the role of a director or president, vice president, or whatever. We don't have that here. So that's something we lack, and it should be easy to justify to stakeholders that devs at DAO deserve to have a pay increase with the time served. because they don't get promoted, so they should at least get some pay raise.
I'm just wondering, like, why is it justified, like, to have a pay? Like, because I don't know, like, I think we should do something, like, be like, if we accomplish certain things, like, we should get the pay. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'll add it to the questionnaire and then just be honest.
So I created this is a separate note, but I created a contributor hub channel. So if you're actually having trouble figuring out how to get paid, join the channel, and hopefully Melanie and Ali can start helping you out.
Nice. Yeah, people should not be worried about getting paid and how to get paid. I mean, they should fulfill their responsibilities and their goals and things, but the technical things should not be taking people's concerns. So that will be a helpful channel.
Exactly.
Great. Well, we're right here at the top of the hour. Thanks everyone for attending. Welcome to the new Jitsi. We can actually, what we can do is we can embed Jitsi like into DXdao.eth, I think, so that you could just come to our home site when you want to attend Jitsi meetings, like the regular ones. But
we're just going to grow with Jitsi. It's just a rocket ship.
Microsoft will probably buy it.
It's true.
Can we invest in Jitsi? Are they doing around?
Yeah. People thought it was like this open source random Russian project, but it seems like it's kind of a company. I don't know.
Sky, could we nominate Jitsi for Panvana?
There you go.
I don't know if they need money.
Well, they need an Ethereum address is what they need. That is like Jitsi, and then we can interact with them. When eventually, they're going to start charging for this eventually, right? They can't just do free hosted video conferencing forever.
I think it's peer-to-peer, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're hosting it.
Well, does it appear in your browser?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm surprised no one's trying to monetize Jitsi. Whoever made Jitsi.
But they monetize it. It's a company called 8x8, I think, and they just sell it to corporates. So Jitsi is just their like free version for people to try it out and stuff.
Oh, you really ruined the dream there, Dave.
Yeah, well, it's open source at least.
That's good. That is good. Okay, guys.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.